Do the Buffs stand a chance against their first ranked opponent of the year? This is your Denver Sports Daily for September 26th.
The biggest stories, the latest news. It's Denver Sports Daily.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm a little bit thrown out of my rhythm because I've gotten so used to coming in on Fridays and talking about the Buffs and the Broncos, but we got to wait until Monday to see what the Broncos are going to do in their matchup. But at least we get to still talk about the CU Buffs, and their game is big because they're getting their first shot at a ranked opponent tomorrow in their matchup against the 25th ranked team, BYU. The Cougars looking okay this year, and I'll only say okay for now, and I'll get into that in a second. But this will be a rematch of last year's Alamo Bowl, where the Buffs were blown out 36-14. Terrible game. I remember being at my grandparents out in Minnesota watching it around Christmas time, and it just ruined my night. Definitely not what you wanted to see there. But the Cougars have started the season 3-0, so they're looking solid on paper. But the Buffs, by far, their toughest opponent they've faced so far. The only teams that BYU has played so far this season are Portland State, Stanford, and East Carolina. Now, none of those teams are sticking out to you, and that's because they're not that great. They have a combined record of 4-9, and that's mostly because of East Carolina, who's 3-1, or 3-2, excuse me, because they played yesterday. So 4-9, but if you take out East Carolina, they're 1-7. Those other two teams, Stanford and Portland State. So those three teams really aren't that great. East Carolina aside, who's maybe eating up against even worse teams, but still no real competition. And now they're getting a chance to go up against the Buffs. This is the best opportunity that we have seen so far this season for the Buffs to actually show what they're made of. Now that the QB situation is figured out, you're not going to Ryan Staub, you're not going to Julian Lewis. Caden Salter is the guy, and Caden Salter got his confidence back after his huge game last week. I mean, what he did last week in that game where he just went out and balled 4 total touchdowns, 390 total yards. That's great. Not only great on paper because he ended up winning, but great for his confidence. He's going into this game, last week's game, thinking about how he could get benched again. If he doesn't go out and perform well, Ryan Staub's going to come back. He only had 1 full game before last week's game. He's played 2 full games this whole season. And the one game that he lost was because they weren't able to get it done in the first quarter. They weren't able to do anything early in the game off of those big turnovers. And then you go out last week and you just have complete and utter dominance. That's what they showed, dominance last week. So them going out and beating Wyoming last week leads to success going into this week. If they can pull out this win, we could be talking about a whole different CU team. Now, the Cougars are a running team. They are going to pound the rock every chance that they get. So for the Buffs to stand any chance or have any grain of hope or sliver of hope, they'll need to force the ball into the air early and often. As a team, the Cougars have ran the ball 123 times in 3 games. 123 times in 3 games. You're averaging about 40 rushes per game. 41 rushes exactly per game. For, get this, 797 yards. You racked up 797 yards as a team on the ground through 3 games. Incredible numbers. Incredible numbers. I mean, what is that? You're averaging about 260 run yards a game. I'm literally just doing the math off the top of my head, so I could be way off, but I don't think I'm that far off. About 260 yards per game just on the ground. Just on the ground through 3 games. Now, the Buffs are heading into this game as 6-point underdogs, but this is, again, the first real competition for BYU, and they're coming to Folsom Field to play. This is not playing back in BYU. They do not have the home stands with them. They are coming to a hostile environment against their first real competition against Caden Salter, who just had a great game and is having all that energy and confidence back in his system. This could be a blowout on the Buffs' end. The Buffs could go out there and end up blowing out BYU. That's very real. These are the type of games where you see upsets happen. I mean, can you imagine what would happen if the Buffs could pull out this win? We'd be talking about about CU in an entirely different light for the rest of the season. And then the energy that builds going into the next weeks, because you don't only have one ranked match this week, and then you got a few weeks off against some other teams. You have 3 back-to-back-to-back ranked matchups. You got BYU this week, and then you got TCU the next week. And we could be talking about another opportunity for the Buffs to go into TCU, pull out a win, and become ranked. That would be a fun opportunity, because if you remember, Deion Kane here, they went up against TCU, who was in the national championship the year prior, and then they pulled out the win and became ranked for the first time in God knows how long. So if this could happen again, I mean, we're seeing the script right here. This could be the script. So, I mean, keep your eyes open, keep watching everything on the field. I feel actually confident that the Buffs can go out and win this game. I do. BYU has not shown anything special to me, and if the Buffs can keep the ball in the air, then there's a real chance that we could see a win here tomorrow night. Now, kickoff is at 8:15 p.m. tomorrow night, another late kickoff. So stay awake, sleep in a little bit longer tomorrow morning, and get ready for this huge game tomorrow. Now, moving on, the Broncos have fallen out of the top 10 in the power rankings. After losing to the Los Angeles Chargers, the Broncos have fallen outside of the top 10 in the power rankings. After last week, they fell a little bit more, and then this week, they fell even more. Last week, the Broncos held the 10th spot, but after their loss, they moved down to number 14, and that's the 3rd biggest drop in the NFL. The only teams who fell further were the Atlanta Falcons, who were blown out by Carolina, who dropped from 15 to 22, and then the Houston Texans, who dropped from 17 to 23. Now, outside of the Chargers, who climbed to number 4, the rest of the AFC West isn't doing much better, as the Chiefs are ranked number 11 and the Raiders are ranked number 26. The Raiders really not good to start the season. I mean, I don't want to garbage talk them too much, but I mean, it's the Raiders. What do you expect? And then the Chiefs, even after they win, they're not moving up at all. They stick at number 11, and the Broncos are right there with them, only 3 spots behind. And of course, the Chargers, I feel many people predicted that before the season started, the Chargers were going to be the runaway team in the AFC West, and it's looking like that's coming to fruition now. Now, the Broncos have a great opportunity on Monday to climb far as they take on the Cincinnati Bengals, who lost Joe Burrow. I mean, if we could see something like we saw against the Bengals last week, where the Minnesota Vikings ended up beating them 48-10, we could be talking about the Broncos in a different light. Again, you know, they got to go out and get a big win here for confidence reasons, but we'll be talking about that on Monday. But as of now, that's all I got for you. We're heading into this weekend, and we got a big game tomorrow for CU. I do want to read some of your comments. I saw this one. Dale Earnhardt stole my grilled cheese sandwich. I don't know what to tell you, man. I can't see how you're ever going to get that one back. But I mean, good to know. Thanks for letting me know. Really got to love what Dale Earnhardt's doing out here. Wild comment heading into the weekend. But heading into the weekend, of course, more things will come out about what the Broncos are going to be doing. We'll talk about that on Monday. Can't wait to be back with you guys on Monday. And then keep staying tuned, because we've got some big changes coming to this show specifically. We're going to be looking at some big new things coming on, maybe a new person joining. It's gonna be fun. That's about as much as I can tease right now, but more news will come about what this show is going to be turning into. Again, think of it as more of a Denver Sports Daily plus, a little bit more fun, a little bit more lively, and a little bit more action. There'll be more things coming about that, but stay tuned for some news on that front. But that'll do it for your Denver Sports Daily. We'll see you guys all on Monday. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. I will see you all later. Bye, y'all.